actually, there's a lot of things that goes on when we sleep. Like you rightly said, we take it for granted. We assume our bodies know how to do it. They'll do it. I mean, you go through your day, you don't really give sleep any thought.
Yeah.
Except for when you're actually going to bed.
Yeah.
During deep sleep is when we balance the chemicals in our bodies. So for all of this, sleep is a must, and it kind of rejuvenates our body as well as our mind. Get to a point where you can have restful sleep. There are sleep hygiene factors. Very basically, what you eat during the day, what you drink during the day. Do you work out? Are you physically active or not? What do you wear to sleep? Where do you sleep? How much light are you exposed to? How much sound are you exposed to? And do you look at screens before you sleep? So all these things play a very big role in how we sleep. However, if you are sleeping more than 10 plus hours, you need to look at the other angles of it. ඒ හේතුව නිසා තමයි ගොඩක් වෙලාවට කියන්නේ නිදි යන්න ඉස්සෙල්ලා තමා ගන්න වතුර ප්‍රමාණය කන්ට්‍රෝල් කරන්න. මොකද නැත්නම් ඒක තමාව නැගිටින්න හේතුවක් වෙන නිසා.
Welcome to FitPod, brought to you by Fitski and All Water, where wellness meets hydration. So today we are talking about a very important aspect of fitness and wellness, which is very frequently talked about, but we don't take seriously, and that is sleep. So today I have on my podcast Shehara Ferdinandis, who is the founder of Sleepyhead Sri Lanka, as well as being a certified sleep practitioner. Shehara, welcome, first of all.
Thanks a lot. Thank you, Gamya, for having me here.
You're very, very welcome here. And starting off, like I said, I feel like we hear so often when it comes to a wellness journey that sleep has to be a part of it. But I also feel like we take sleep for granted, like it's a given. Okay, you wake up, you do your thing, you eat, you work, and then you just go back to sleep or go to sleep. But obviously, this is something you have a lot of expertise in, so you know how important this is, and I would like to know how important this is.
So sleep, actually, there's a lot of things that goes on when we sleep. Like you rightly said, we take it for granted. We assume our bodies know how to do it. They'll do it. I mean, you go through your day, you don't really give sleep any thought.
Yeah.
Except for when you're actually going to bed.
Yeah.
But see, even though our mind shuts down during the time we sleep, our bodies still function. Our hearts are beating, our lungs are breathing, and amidst that, there's also a lot of processes that happen within us. So energy replenishment and kind of restoring your body, plus during the REM or the rapid eye movement stage of sleep is when we consolidate memories and learn. During deep sleep is when we balance the chemicals in our bodies. So for all of this, sleep is a must, and it kind of rejuvenates our body as well as our mind. So a very important factor also that needs to be there is hydration, which goes hand in hand with sleep.
Yeah.
Because for all those processes which I just mentioned, for it to happen seamlessly, we need to make sure that our bodies are hydrated throughout the day.
Okay.
So sleep is of paramount importance. I know some people say you must sleep 8 hours. There's no such thing. Actually, an adult sleeps around between 5 to 7 hours, and it's considered healthy if you can at least get in 5 hours of sleep a night.
Right.
But anything under 5 is not recommended.
Okay.
So sleep is very important to restore your body, to rejuvenate it so that you feel better and you can do better the next day.
Okay, so this is something that I struggle with quite a lot. I know of people, and I've seen quite a lot of discussion around sleep problems where people are just unable to get to sleep. There's a lot of discussion around insomnia. That's a really big topic now, whereas maybe when I was growing up, it wasn't such a topic. Insomnia wasn't really even recognized as a real serious thing. I don't struggle with sleep generally, but I do understand that sleep doesn't necessarily mean restful sleep. So there are two different things that I've noticed within myself, which is that, okay, you sometimes wake up and you feel already right at the time of waking up exhausted, tired, and you're like, I've just slept 8 hours, what's going on? And then there's also those times which is when you wake up and you feel energized and you're ready to go. You can just feel like there's something positive within you that's ready to just kick off your day. So obviously there's a difference. What is the difference between just sleep and a restful sleep? Because this is where you really your skills are really honed in on this idea of restful sleep.
Correct. So few things that we need to look at when we look at sleep, right? The most important thing I would say is we look at how sleep is regulated. So there are two main processes. One is the body clock, which is based on the 24-hour cycle that the world usually rotates in.
Yeah.
So it's very much dependent on sunlight.
Right.
What time does the sun rise? What time does it set? So based on that, our body is kind of aligned to a clock. Then the other part is sleep pressure. So sleep pressure is when you wake up and you go about your day, you build, because you get tired, you get exhausted, so you build this pressure, and at about 10:30, 11 in the night usually, you feel...
Or 2 a.m.
So see, that's where I'm coming to. You feel tired and you feel the need to go to bed.
Yeah.
So these are the two main processes that govern sleep. To get to a point where you can have restful sleep, there are sleep hygiene factors. So very basically, what you eat during the day, what you drink during the day, do you work out, are you physically active or not, what do you wear to sleep, where do you sleep, how much light are you exposed to, how much sound are you exposed to, and do you look at screens before you sleep. So all these things play a very big role in how we sleep. We don't realize it, like you rightly said, we take it for granted, but that can make a big difference in you having restful sleep. Apart from that, there's also something that we're seeing which is very common is stress and anxiety, depression, certain other mental illnesses or mental health coming into play and having an impact on how well you rest.
Right.
So if something's working on your mind, you don't sleep as well. You wake up feeling tired and exhausted because you don't enter the deeper stage of sleep. You're at the light stage of sleep. And then you wake up not feeling refreshed or not feeling, rested.
Okay, so yes, I've seen a lot of information around that, and I've read a lot of things that say, okay, you have to sort of minimize your screen time before sleep, maybe 1 to 2 hours before, but I think we can all agree that most of us, the first thing we do when we wake up is get on our screen, and the last thing we do before we go to bed is get on our screen as well. So now I understand that it has an actual scientific impact on how high quality your sleep is. So yes, okay, note to self. And also with hydration, like you said, aiding the processes run seamlessly during sleep. අපි අහලා තිනවා ගොඩක් වෙලාවට නිදා ගන්න ඉස්සෙල්ලා වැඩියෙන් වතුර බොන්න එපා. සහ කියන්නේ නිින්ද ආශ්‍රිතව වතුර ගැන තියෙනවා එක එක maybe myths, maybe not, but තියෙනවා කතා බහක්. මොකක්ද ඇත්තටම නිින්දයි වතුරයි අතර තියෙන සම්බන්ධය සහ ඇයි කියන්නේ වතුර බොන්න එපා වැඩිපුර නිදා ගන්න කලින් කියලා?
මං ඉස්සෙල්ලා කිව්වා වගේ ගම්යා නිදාගන්දී අපිට අර ගොඩාක් processes වෙනවා අපේ ඇඟ ඇතුළත අභ්‍යන්තරේ. ඉතින් ඒ වලට වතුර අවශ්‍යයි. හැබැයි ඒ අවශ්‍ය වතුර හරි ඒ අවශ්‍ය හයිඩ්‍රේෂන් එක ඒ වෙලාවටම කියන්නේ නිදාගන්න ඉස්සෙල්ලා ලබා ගත යුතු නෑ. ඒක ඒ කියන්නේ මුළු දවස පුරාම අපි විටින් විට වතුර බීලා ඒ හයිඩ්‍රේෂන් එක ලබා ගත යුතුයි. අපි කියන්නේ සාමාන්‍යයෙන් නිදියන්න පැය දෙකකට පෙර විතර ගන්න වතුර ප්‍රමාණය හරි වෙන ලික්විඩ් දෙයක් ගන්න එක අඩු කරන්න කියලා කියන්නේ very simply කියනවා නම් ටොයිලට් යන්න නැගිටින්න එක නවත්තන්න. හේතුව අපි නැගිටුනාම ඒ හේතුව නිසාම නෙමෙයි, කියන්නේ ටොයිලට් එකට යන්න විතරක් නෙමෙයි වෙන ඕනම හේතුවක් නිසා අපි නැගිට්ටම අපේ ස්ලීප් සයිකල් එකට බාධාවක් වෙනවා. ඊට පස්සේ ඒක එතනදී අර ඩිස්රප්ට් වුණාම ආයි අපිට අර තද නින්දට යන්න
Yeah.
තියෙන ප්‍රවණතාවය ගොඩක් අඩු වෙනවා.
Right, right.
ඉතින් ඒකයි අපි පුළුවන් තරම් අපි නින්දේ ඉන්නකොට අපිව නැගිටින්න තියෙන හේතු සාධක නැති කරන්න. ඒ කියන්නේ කාමරේ උෂ්ණත්වය වුණත් සමහරට කාමරේ රස්නේ නම් අපි නැගිටිනවා.
Yeah.
ඉතින් ඒ විදිය වෙලාවක වුණත් ඒක කන්ට්‍රෝල් කරන්න ඕනේ.
Right.
ඒ හේතුව නිසා තමයි ගොඩක් වෙලාවට කියන්නේ නිදියන් ඉස්සෙල්ලා තමා ගන්න වතුර ප්‍රමාණය කන්ට්‍රෝල් කරන්න. මොකද නැත්නම් ඒක තමාව නැගිටින්න හේතුවක් වෙන නිසා.
Right. So don't be that person, girl or boy, don't be that person who doesn't drink water all throughout the day and then suddenly remembers, oh my god, water bilana, and then decides to drink 2 gallons of water right before bed. So don't do that, is what you're saying. Just try to, water is important, hydration is important, but it has to be kind of integrated into your day periodically, or with certain frequency, and not just sort of overdone at some part of the day. Okay, understood. Also, when it comes to sleep, I think another thing that people generally underestimate is the value of it when it comes to the physical aspect. So some people might be very into the fitness side of things, the exercise side of things. So, building muscle, doing their cardio, going to the gym. They're very particular and very consistent with that. So sleep is a time where we do nothing. So it's really difficult. I can see when I talk to my friends that it's really difficult for some of them to understand the relationship between building muscle, being fit, all of that, and then sleep where we're doing nothing. So but when you do read studies on it, you can see that there's a really direct and really important connection between the two. So where does sleep fit into the actual physical side of fitness, the exercise and all of that?
So that's actually where we regenerate. I mean, if you look at, if you're coming home after a really tough workout, and you need that sleep to restore your body, give it that rest, because you have pushed it to a limit where to gain something for yourself.
Yeah.
So you need to give your body that break to rest, regenerate, and then so that you feel rejuvenated and you can go back to the gym the next day.
Right.
Moreover, sleep is very important for weight loss.
Tell me more.
Not just sleep, I must add. You've got to do the work. But also, there's a direct correlation between the two.
Yep.
So at least 7 hours of sleep a night, if possible, is important in your fitness journey. So it's that break that you give to your body, because you're on the go, right? When you get up in the morning, you're constantly on the go. Even if you're at a job, you're using your mind.
Yeah.
That's the only time that you shut down completely, and none of the external stimulation in the world can, bother you.
Yeah.
So that rest is very, very important, both for physical development as well as your mental stability.
Okay, wonderful. So another question that I feel is important, maybe I'm also a little bit guilty of it, but just to find out, is there such a thing as too much sleep? Because some of us, not saying who, maybe me, don't mind a little bit of a lengthy sleep, right? And I feel like I benefit from it because I feel better when I've had longer sleep than if I have. I'm not a morning person. Let's just get that out in the universe already. Not a morning person. So I value my sleep in the morning if I can get many hours of it.
Yes.
But is that not a good thing, or is there such a thing as too much?
Yes, there is. But so it's like you have to look at it in two ways. I'll address one portion of it first. One thing is that the sleep needs differ. How much I sleep and how much sleep I need to feel refreshed and how much sleep you need to feel refreshed varies greatly.
Yes.
I love my sleep,
Yeah.
so I do want to get at least 7 hours a night,
Right.
because that is what makes me feel refreshed.
Mhm.
But I have a friend who can function in general on 4 hours of sleep.
Yes,
right?
we all have that friend.
So it's a kind of a personal thing as
Yeah.
well. So it depends on you.
Mhm.
You might need that sleep, and there is nothing wrong with it.
Mhm.
You needing 8 hours or 9 hours or 10 hours, there is nothing wrong with it. However, if you are sleeping more than 10 plus hours, you need to look at the other angles of it. Is it a health implication? Are you sleeping more because of a certain
Mhm.
reason? Is it something to do with your health? Or are you sleeping more because of a medication?
Mhm.
So there are certain angles that you look at. So which is why we say anything above 10 plus hours for an adult can be an area that we kind of look into
Right.
because of certain other implications. However, if you are someone with high sleep needs and you need those 8 hours or 9 hours to function,
Mhm.
that's your prerogative, I
Yeah.
suppose.
So I think, like you said, a lot of people, when they talk about wellness and fitness, it's usually about the physical body that we generally talk about, and our attention naturally goes there. But our sleep is also really tightly connected with our psychological health or our mental health as well. Just now, when you were saying if you're sleeping too much, that might be a part of your overall health as well. We do see a lot of mental health issues connected to long hours of sleep, and maybe sometimes it might be just not having the will
Mm.
to wake up and do something or face your day. It could be something else. It could be actual health problems, physical health problems, which are lethargy or just exhaustion that are abnormal levels. So even with mental health, I often have wondered, because even though our mind isn't working while we're sleeping, our subconscious mind is very much active during sleep. So how does the mental health component play into our sleep and help us sort of regulate that side of our body?
So one of the processes that also happens when we sleep is our brain kind of uses it as a place or a moment to help us feel or manage the effect of certain experiences we have during the day. So let's assume you go to work, you're having a really stressful day, and like it's working in your mind. Even when you go to bed, you're like constantly thinking about it, and it's bugging you and it's getting in the way of you falling asleep.
Yeah.
You do ultimately fall asleep, and then when you wake up, you feel slightly better. Maybe not to the level.
Yes, that is true.
Yes.
Yes.
So our
And is that why
brain.
people say sleep on it?
Yes,
If there's a problem.
exactly.
Okay.
So that's
Right.
why they say it,
Wow.
because the emotional response that you have the night before and the night after your sleep is two different things. So your brain helps to reduce emotional, impact that a certain incident is having on you.
Okay.
So it is very important, and like you said, people with certain issues such as stress and anxiety don't have sometimes the will to wake up because they are worried about, how are they going to face the day? I don't want to deal with this, that kind of
Yeah.
feeling. And in addition to that, some of the medication that is used to treat certain mental illnesses have insomnia as a side effect.
Yeah.
So that again, they struggle to fall asleep during the early hours of the night, and then they end up falling asleep during the early morning hours and staying asleep for longer, which they need because they've lost that sleep in the night. So when it comes to mental health, sleep has a very big impact, just as it does on the physical, because it'll help you to again regenerate, helps to reduce the emotional impact that certain incidents may be having. the impact that it has on you. For that reason alone, I would say the importance of sleep when it comes to mental well-being is extremely great and needs to happen.
Okay, so before we wrap up, I think another thing that I see often associated with sleep is the fact that sleep controls us. We don't have control over our sleep patterns. And from everything that we've discussed now, and obviously this is a huge area of study and a very deep area of study, so there's a lot more that we could discuss on it for days on end. But from the little that we have discussed, I feel like it's important to have a handle on our sleep habits, to have some control over our sleep habits rather than let that control us. Okay, then I'm going to sleep, and then but we have to figure out a way to have some sort of a regulation over it.
Yes.
So maybe before we leave, if you could just leave us with a little bit of guidance on how to do that, because a lot of people do struggle with it, believe it or not. You know, even though we consider it a given and take it for granted, people do struggle with sleep. So how do we gain some form of practical regulation over our sleep patterns?
So like I said, the sleep hygiene factors can really help. So what you eat, ideally you need to eat at least 3 hours before you go to sleep. What you drink or consume during the day. So hydration is important throughout the day, ideally mineral water, so that there's electrolytes coming into play as well. Working out helps. I mean, it doesn't have to necessarily be
high intensity.
Strength. Exactly.
Right. Okay.
Either a HIIT training or strength training. It can be as simple as, cardio, which is not as intense, as long as you do it at least 30 minutes a day. Again, at least 3 hours before bedtime, because your body does need to shut down before we go to sleep. No screens, at least 1 hour before bedtime.
Right.
You can use things like journaling before bed if you do have anxiety, if you do have...
yes, okay, I love that.
Just so that you park your thoughts or park your anxieties before you get to bed. Because otherwise, when you're, in bed, you're constantly thinking about these issues and not really... and there's nothing you can do at that point. So by writing them down, you validate it and you park it for the moment, and you feel good because you kind of accepted this is an issue that I'm having.
Right.
I will deal with it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right? And also be mindful of where you sleep. Please invest in sleep. Invest in a mattress, invest in good pillows, invest in your sleep environment.
Yes.
Make sure that you're comfortable, and even what you wear, because it makes an impact.
Yes.
Right? And we don't want you waking up in the middle of the night multiple times. We need to avoid that so that you get the best quality of sleep, which you deserve.
Yes.
So that would be summing it up, I suppose.
Right. Okay. So that's quite a great summary of what we can incorporate into our lives quite easily and practically as well. Because yes, sleep shouldn't be such a serious issue, but also it should because of the importance that it has on our lifestyle. So thank you so much, Shehara, for all of that sleep-related wisdom you've shared with us. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll meet again on another FitPod.